I want to thank you guys for being here. I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to be able to come up here, talk about my life story, some of the things that I've been through, connect with you guys, and basically go through from when my mom was pregnant with me to how I got myself to where I am today, being a CEO of a keynote speaking company, a fitness model, a bodybuilder, doing all this crazy stuff and everything in between and some of the struggles that I went through. And when I'm up here, I want to motivate, I want to inspire, but most importantly, I want to make long-lasting change. I want to leave you guys going out of here knowing that you can accomplish anything and everything that life throws at you and change your perspective on life. So, when my mom was pregnant with me, everything was going fine. I'm the baby of three. I have three other siblings. I have one brother and two sisters, and everything was going fine. The first two ultrasounds, nothing was different. And then my mom had a late ultrasound, and they went in, and they sat them down, and pulled up me on the stomach, and they looked at my parents and said, "There's something wrong." And they said, "What do you mean? Everything was going fine. What do you mean something's wrong?" And he said, "Well, from the looks of it, it doesn't look like some of his limbs are developing. It doesn't look like he has legs. It looks like he's missing his right arm. We don't know why this happens." And here my parents are put in this extremely uncomfortable situation. They'd never been in a situation like this. What do you do? What do you do? My parents looked at each other, and they promised each other. They said, regardless of what happens, however the birth goes, that we're going to raise this kid just like the other siblings. We're not going to treat him any differently. And they labeled me with Hanhart Syndrome. And what Hanhart Syndrome is a super rare genetic disorder that either leaves the babies with undeveloped limbs or undeveloped organs. I was the 12th baby in medical history that they've ever seen this happen to. And they said, well, we don't know if his organs are going to be 100% healthy. Your son is the 12th baby in the world, and out of the 12 that have been born, 8 of them have passed away due to undeveloped organs. We're going to give your son a 30% chance to live. So here my parents are, just going with the flow, seeing what happens, And my mom had a C-section. I was born, and the doctors did tests on my organs to see, is this kid going to survive? Because the babies are either born with undeveloped limbs or undeveloped organs. And what that means is the babies are born, they can't feed themselves. Their heart doesn't beat on their own. So they live off machines, and then eventually they pass away. So I was born, they did tests on my organs, and my organs were 100% healthy. And they don't know how, they don't know why. And that's why I live in a state of gratitude, and that's why I'm extremely grateful for life, extremely grateful to be up here. And I want to start off with a little taste of gratitude. I want you guys to help me out. So right now, I want everyone to close their eyes. I want you to put both of your hands on your heart. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. One more time. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Keep your eyes closed. We're calm. I want you to think of a time that you can feel extremely grateful for. It could be a big time. It could be a small time. It could be the littlest thing, something that makes you feel grateful, that you can go back into that moment and feel it. Pretend you're there right now in that moment that you feel so grateful for. Take it in. Breathe. Feel your heart. Go into that moment. Let's go to another moment. Let's go to a second moment. A second moment in your life, whether that's big, little, whatever it may be, something that you can feel extremely grateful for. That during that time you just felt amazing into that moment. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Open your eyes. How do you feel? Feels good. That's a little taste of gratitude. That's a little taste of being grateful. And one of the things you guys can do right now when you walk out of this door is you can start your day by listing 5 things you're grateful for. You can start your day by listing 5 things you're grateful for and end your day on 5 things you're grateful for, because it is emotionally impossible to feel grateful and sad at the same time. Grateful and upset, grateful anything, grateful, being grateful it overdoes all the other feelings. So when you start your day off by feeling grateful for the little things, the fact that we woke up today, the fact that your heart right here, you didn't have to work for it. It was given to you. It was a gift. It was the gift of life. Your heart came before your mind. So it's a gift. It's a gift that we're alive. So that's something that you guys can do right now, is when you walk out of here, you can start your days off with gratitude. I suggest you do it, and that's what I do. So I was born with Hanhart Syndrome, and immediately after I was born, the doctors basically handed over a list to my parents. And the list was, here are all the things that your son won't be able to do in life. Your son won't be able to feed himself. Your son won't be able to drive a car. Your son won't be able to dress himself. Your son won't be able to be independent. Your son will basically be a big baby for the rest of his life. And in things, people are going to say things to you, and it's all about how you react to it. And for my parents, they threw the list away. They said, we're not going to let some doctors, dictate what my son can and cannot be able to do. And we could sit here and we can ask ourselves, who controls you? Who controls you in life? There's a lot of outside noise in life. There's a lot of naysayers, a lot of haters. But it's all about how you react to it. If you can either let it affect you or let it drive you. So I put up here, no one's opinion matters. No one dictates your future. And that's the beauty behind life, is that we are the architects of our life. Each and every day, we have the opportunity to wake up and build something that we want to build. Build anything that we want to build. Build out that vision. Build out that financial plan, that whatever we want to do, we have that option to wake up each and every day and build whatever kind of life we want. So, growing up, my parents sat me down at an early age, and it's engraved in my head, and it is this: Nick, the world is not going to stop for you because you're born like this. The world is not going to stop. And what that means is that everything that you're going to attempt in life, everything that you want in life, you're going to have to figure out how to do it Nick's way. Everything that comes into your life, you're going to figure out how to adapt to it. And that's the same for you guys. Things are going to come into your life, challenges, obstacles. Things are going to get in front of your goals or whatever you're trying to do. But it's just problem and solution. It's just an obstacle. It's just figuring out how. It's not can't, it's how can I do it. So for me, my parents would literally put food in front of me. They'd sit me in my high chair and they put food in front of me and they say, figure it out. Yeah, some hard stuff. And they would put clothes in front of me and say, Nick, figure it out. They would be there, but they would make me go through this trial and error. Basically, from an early age, they sparked my mindset that, okay, things are going to come into your life, but how are you going to do it? It's not that, I can't do it, but how? So, for example, when my parents put cereal in front of me and my mom gave me a spoon, I finally figured out that it was easier for me to lick my finger and just eat it that way than pick up the spoon. So things like that, it just got my mind in this creative mode that, like I said, things are going to come up, but it's just how. There's multiple ways to do things. There's not just one. We go next one. So growing up, to be honest, I didn't before middle school. I didn't realize I was different. My mind was pure. No one was really making fun of me. No one was really judging me. I was just a kid living my life, and I got into middle school. And I think we can all agree that middle school, high school is probably the most judgmental times of our life. Yeah. And so I got into middle school, and it was a big slap in my face. I realized I was different. I realized the kids pointing at me. I realized the kids making fun. I realized the fact that I had an aide sitting with me in class, and although I wasn't any slower intellectually, that because I had someone sitting in class with me, that people thought I was slow, that someone was pushing me in my wheelchair, and I got judged for it. And it was, like I said, it was a big slap in my face, and I realized how different I was. And, being in middle school, I label middle school as my lowest point. And I'm going to say our lowest point because we all have that point in our life. It may come in the future. You may already went through some low points in our life. Middle school is my lowest point. And right now we can think back to a time in our life that was a point in our life when we woke up and we just said, man, I just don't think I could go on much longer. Life has really got me down. I just don't think I could push through any longer. Think back to a time, whether that was a breakup, whether that was a death in the family, whether that was a financial hardship, something happened, whatever happened, and something happened so traumatic that you just didn't think you could push through anymore. We're here. We made it. We made it past that time that we didn't think we can go through. And for me, middle school was my time where I didn't think I had anything left in me. I was an out-of-shape kid. I had no confidence, and I got to the point where I was absolutely disgusted with myself. I was disgusted with myself. I was disgusted with the fact that I was born with no legs and one arm, and my big question was why? Why am I born like this? Why do I have to go through all these challenges? Why do I have to get made fun of in school? These kids don't know what I'm going through. Why? Why me? So middle school in my life, that was my lowest point. I was depressed. It got to the point where I didn't even want to go in public anymore. I didn't want to look into a mirror. I didn't want to see myself, and I was disgusted. And it got to the point where I thought killing myself was the way to go. I didn't want to live in this body anymore. I was absolutely disgusted with myself, and this was my lowest point. And I realized, how hard that would affect my parents if I would have did that. How much of a negative effect I would have left on the world if I would have did that. And I realized that the only person that can make a drastic change in your life, whether that's physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, whatever it may be, the only person that can make a drastic change in your life for the better is you. You have to do that. No one else can do that for you. So for me, here I am. I'm middle school, I'm about to go in high school, I'm out of shape, I hate myself, I have no confidence, disgusted with myself, I'm not even comfortable in my body. But I have to do something. I realized that I have to do something about it. So I got into high school, and my older brother graduated from that high school. He was a wrestler. Do we have any wrestlers in here? We got a few brave souls. All right. So I got into high school, and my older brother was a wrestler. I looked up to him, and all my best friends were stud wrestlers for my high school. And, I needed to find something. I needed to find something that was going to make me feel good about myself. I needed to find something that was going to fulfill me, make me feel confident in my body, make me feel comfortable in my skin. And, my friend sat me down and said, Nick, you're not the one to not try things. You always preach about, fall on your face, get up, try different things, put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Why don't you try wrestling? And, I said, my arm. They said, what do you mean? And for those, I'll try to get everyone to see this, but my right limb up there, it used to be a little bit longer than it is now. It used to be about 5 inches longer than it is now, and the bone in my limb was growing faster than the skin. So it was like your finger, but super pointy. And so pointy to the fact that I was in pain, most of my days, and I'd actually tuck my arm under my armpit because I didn't want to hit it on anything. I didn't want to hit it on anything because if I would have hit my arm hard enough, the bone would probably come through the skin. So they said, why not wrestling? And I said, my arm, man, my arm hurts. I can't. And they said, you're not the one to say can't. And I knew that me being a part of a team, me being labeled as an athlete, being a part of a team, being able to just do physical activities, that would make me feel good about myself. That would make me feel, better, confident. I'm an athlete now. I'm doing a sport, one of the most physical sports. I knew that it would make me feel good. So I came home one day. I said, hey, Mom and Dad, I want to be a wrestler. And my parents supported me in everything and anything that I wanted to do in life. They just let me go into anything. And I said, I want to be a wrestler. And my mom said, no. Your arm, God forbid, Nick, your mom's going to worry mode. God forbid, Nick, you hit your arm, the bone comes through. Like, what are you going to do? And here I am as a 16, 17-year-old kid, and in my terms, I said, let's cut it off. And they looked at me like, what? I said, well, can we just cut the arm off? Like, can we do something about it? And they're like, Nick, like, you just came home and asked me to cut your arm off. Like, let's slow down here. Let's take it slow. And I knew that this was going to make me feel better about myself. I knew it needed to be done. And I tell people, when you want to do something in life, whether it's get better at a hobby, or achieve a goal, or build a business, or execute a financial plan, whatever it may be, you either do it 110%, you either give 110% effort, or you're selling yourself short. You're wasting your time. So I said, yes, Mom and Dad, this is something I want to do. Can we amputate my arm? Can we cut it off? They said, Nick, if this is really something that you want to do, if you really want to become a wrestler, we'll look into it. So my sophomore year, they scheduled me to go to a surgeon, and we amputated my arm. Basically, they did the procedure where they lasered the bone off and did a skin graft. And they pulled extra skin from up on my arm and pulled it over my limb, so I was able to bang it up, so I'd have some cushion and not be in pain anymore. And I want to stop and hit on something real quick. Is the only limitation that I saw in my head was the fact that my arm hurt. That was the only thing that was stopping me from becoming a wrestler. Not the fact that I was born with no legs and one arm. I didn't see that. Because I was confident in my ability that my hard work and dedication, if I work my butt off, if I gave 110% effort, focus everything on becoming a better wrestler each and every day, that my hard work and consistency would make up for my lack of limbs. It wasn't even in my head. So we went ahead and we got the procedure done. We amputated my arm. I went through some recovery. In my junior year, I tried out for my wrestling team. And for those, if you don't know, but in high school sports, you have your JV and you have your varsity. Your JV is not your starting lineup, and your varsity is your starting lineup. So I came back to school, and I was all excited. People like, what happened? I was like, I just decided to cut my arm off. And they're like, no, really? I'm like, yeah, I did. And, I show them, and they're like, why? And I'm like, I'm going to become a wrestler. I was so excited. I'm going to become a wrestler. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to become an athlete. And people laughed at me. People laughed, and they said, Nick, how are you going to, let's be realistic here. Let's be realistic. How are you going to become an athlete? You have no legs and one arm. Better get an athlete. How are you going to do wrestling? It's the most physical sport. So I had people laughing at me. I had people doubting me. And like I said, it's what kind of meaning you put on it. I could have let all those people affect me and stop me from wrestling. The list that the doctors handed over to my parents could have did one or two things. They could have looked at the list and listened to it and kept me hidden in my bedroom or not doing anything, not throwing me into life. Or they could have just let it drive them, let it show them. And for me, one of the things that, I had to do my entire life was I felt I always had to prove people wrong because people always doubted me. Raise your hand right now if at least once in your life someone has told you, you can't do that. Keep them up. Look around. It's everyone in this room. You could take a sense of comfort in that because people on the regular, on the daily, people are going to come into your life and tell you you can't do things. Thanks for your opinion. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is me right here. So people made fun. They said, how are you going to become a wrestler? And I said, you know what? You're right. I'm not going to become a wrestler. I'm going to become a varsity wrestler. I said, keep telling me I can't. It fuels me. I appreciate it. And my junior year, I came out from a wrestling team, and I told my friends, I said, beat me up. Beat me up so bad because I'm not going to be able to learn. I'm not going to be able to become the best wrestler, figure out what I need to become a better wrestler if you hold back. If you hold back on me, I need you guys to beat me up. And my junior year, I got that wish. My junior year, I got my butt kicked the entire year, and I think I was 0 and like 15. I lost 15 times in a row, and I remember my coach throwing me out for a varsity forfeit win so I can get my varsity jacket. And I got the win, and I came off the mat, and I said, thanks, I don't want it. I didn't earn that. I didn't earn that varsity jacket. And I'm a competitive person. So through getting my butt kicked and through falling on my face and figuring out what I need to do to become a better wrestler, to become better each and every day, my senior year, I came out as Central Regional's 106-pound varsity wrestler for my high school. And this was reassurance for me. This was Nick's confidence. I was a kid that I thought confidence, you either were born with it or you didn't have it. But the beauty behind confidence is that it's a skill. It's a skill that we work on each and every day. And it's a skill that I've implemented going into these industries where I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm confident in my ability to learn what I need to learn, to implement what I need to learn. And that's the same thing for you guys. You may walk out of this door and go into a different industry tomorrow, next week, next year, whatever it may be. And you may be put in this uncomfortable situation. But I promise you, if you don't believe in your abilities to succeed in whatever you're trying to do, first off, don't expect other people to believe in you. And don't expect to make it happen. It starts with you. If I didn't believe in myself, if I wasn't confident in my abilities to become a varsity wrestler, it would have never happened. And that's the thing. That's what I say. No one else's opinions matters. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise outside. But like I said, the beauty behind it is that it only matters what we think, what we believe in. So I put up failure is your best friend. Because the majority of you right now, when I say the word failure or defeat, you will immediately correlate it with with negative. But if we can shift that perspective, we can shift your mindset, and you guys start embracing the failures and start embracing the defeats, the hard times. Because I promise you, when you put yourself in uncomfortable situations, when you put yourself in situations where you just fall on your face, and the only thing you can either do one of two things. You can let life defeat you, or you can get up and figure out how to do it. The most personal growth comes from those times where you fall on your face, where you need to get up and figure out a different way. There is so much knowledge and so much value that comes from failure. It's amazing. So we can step out of here today and embrace all the hardships. Embrace the failures. Because there's so much knowledge from it. There's so much different perspective, different ways to go about things. That's all life is failing. Failing and falling on your face and getting back up and figuring out what are you going to do next so you don't fail the next time. That's what life is. So my senior year, I came out as a 106-pound varsity wrestler, and wrestling saved my life. I was telling you guys that I was going through this why. Why me? Why was I born like this? I don't get it. Why am I born like this? And my senior year, I didn't understand why there was a full gymnasium to watch me wrestle. I'll be the first one to tell you that I wasn't the best wrestler. I put up there my varsity record. I was 2-17, but that was 2 more wins than I got my previous year. So I was winning. I felt good. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, why are people giving me standing ovations when I lose? You're not supposed to applaud someone losing. I don't like it. I don't get it. And I came off the mat one time. And I had a teacher or an adult. She may have been a teacher or an adult, and she came up to me crying, and I was like, whoa, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? And she said, no. She said, thank you. And I said, what did I do? I was just out there getting my butt kicked. I didn't really do anything. And she said, my son or my daughter never wanted to do an extracurricular activity, never wanted to do a sport, never wanted to try new things, but they saw you out there giving your all. They saw you just doing it, regardless of whatever limitations you have. They saw you out there giving your all, and now they want to do all these things. They want to try all these things. Thank you. And here I am as a 17-year-old kid and an 18-year-old kid looking for my why, and I'm like, boom, I found my why. I wasn't even trying to impact people for the better. I was just trying to live my life to the fullest. Imagine how many people I can impact. Imagine how many people I can make smile, make a positive impact on if I focus my energy on it. And I found my why right there, through wrestling. And during that time, the app Vine came out. Raise your hand if you know what Vine is. So for those of you that don't know what Vine is, Vine was an app that came out a couple years ago, and you could post only 6-second videos. You could post only 6-second videos, and it was up to you to be as creative as you can in 6 seconds. So, I wanted to create something that has never been done before, that no one has ever seen, because I know that if I put content out there that is good and has never been seen before, it has to go viral. It has to catch a fire. It's got to catch. So I'm sitting down one day, and I'm sitting with my friends, and I'm like, what has never been done? And we're sitting here, and we're thinking, and I said, how many legless guys do you know crawling around Walmart pretending to be a zombie? And they were like, I've never seen it. And I'm like, it's a good idea, right? So they were like, hey, that's a good idea. It's never been done before. And I said, well, let's do it. And I was literally, I swear, I was literally in regular clothes, and I put some fake blood on my face. I put some fake blood on my face and some on my shirt. And I'm from New Jersey. I moved to Tampa about 7 months ago, but I was from New Jersey, and I went to my local Walmart, which I'm not allowed in that Walmart anymore. You guys probably know why. And I said, all right, let's try to get the 6-second video, right? Let's try to get a viral video. So we're in Walmart, we're scoping it out, and I see an aisle. There's a guy looking at paper towels. You guys probably seen this video for those of you who see my stuff. And there's a guy holding paper towels, and I said, yo, pull out your phone. Let's film this. He's like, all right. So I have some fake blood on me. And I come around this corner like this. And the guy goes, oh! And he throws the paper towels at my face. Literally, first reaction was took the paper towel, threw them at my face. And I'm like, whoa, you see that reaction? Was it 6 seconds? And they're like, yeah, we just got all of that in under 6 seconds. I'm like, dude, that was pretty cool. It worked. I didn't know if it was going to work. So, I filmed the video and I said, if this can reach 500 people, if this can reach 500 adults or kids, if 500 adults or kids can see my videos and say, wow, look how happy Nick is in his situation. Like I said, I was coming from a kid that was disgusted with myself, that I was not comfortable in my body, had no confidence whatsoever, and I didn't want other kids to feel like that. I know there's millions of people feeling like that right now, and I didn't want anyone to feel like me. So I was like, how can I make an outlet that I can not only inspire people but make them laugh? Because making people laugh is a beautiful thing. So I said, if 500 people see this, 500 kids and adults, if I can just make them happy, make them smile, whatever it may be, make them feel more comfortable in their skin, then I'm winning. So I came home that day. I had school the next morning. I'm a senior in high school. And I posted the video and I went to bed. And I woke up the next morning and had over 80,000 likes and over 80,000 revines. And I was like, wow, I broke my 500 mark. And I was like, it went internationally viral. It went internationally viral, and literally, I would go into school next day and everybody's talking about it. It's huge. I gained 55,000 followers in a day, literally blown up. And the one thing that I pulled from it the most, there's literally news articles from Africa, you name it, Europe, all over. And there was one title that stood out to me the most. NJ teen, born with disability, turned into a positive. And me reading that and seeing how many people, that I affected, that, people were seeing that, look at this kid turn something that the majority of the world would see as negative or a disability into a positive. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted, was to create an outlet for me to, like I said, inspire and entertain people, make them laugh, and make myself look like a doofus. So, as you can see up here, I continue to do zombie pranks. I continue to do funny videos, and like I said, just basically a bunch of 6-second videos making myself look like a doofus. In under a year, I gained 1 million followers on Vine, and I created this outlet of me just posting stuff and bringing positivity to the world, and that led me to being hired by Fox International to scare the main actor of The Walking Dead in Tokyo, Japan. And so they called me up. Basically, they called me up and said, hey, we've seen your videos. We want to pull a prank on Norman, and you're probably the best zombie out there. We don't really need much effects. I'm like, Yeah, you don't. Just put some makeup on me. So I got the opportunity. If you guys go on YouTube and you type in Norman Reedus prank, it'll come up. And like I said, I got to go out to Tokyo, Japan. You see on the right, I promise on the right, that's makeup. I'm not that ugly. And so we got to do the makeup and make this viral video. And, you know, it all started with me just trying to help. It all started with me trying to make myself feel good and help others. And that's what you guys can, you know, say during your daily life. You know, when you wake up is, how can I do what I love and help others at the same time? How can I do what I love and bring value to others? And it's so fulfilling. You live such a fulfilling life when you truly do what you love and you get to help the people around you. You get to help maybe strangers, whatever it may be. And for me, Vine was my way of that was my first outlet of, you know, I want to be a positive impact. I want to, you know, after wrestling, after I figured out my why, I wanted to do much more. And then, you know, after all that, I had a solid pranking career. I was labeled the Zombie King, and you know, no one else could do legless unless you had no legs. No one else was doing zombie pranks like me, so that was pretty cool. And I made an announcement. You know, I had 1 million followers, and I realized that when I'm 50 years old, that I don't want my grandkids. The only thing they know me for is crawling around Walmart. So I said, you know, I need much more. I need much more. I need to do something bigger. So I made an announcement to these over 1 million people that followed me solely for my pranks. And I said, guys, I don't want to prank anymore. This is what I'm going to do. I want to become a fitness model. I want to become a bodybuilder. I want to become a keynote speaker. I want to break into the mainstream modeling industry. These are the things that I want to do. And I don't know how I'm going to do them, but it's going to get done. And you can either support me or you can not support me. I appreciate your support in the past if you don't want to support me anymore. And this is what I'm going to set off to do. And I took some heat. I took a lot of people unfollowing me, a lot of people saying, you know, what are you doing? You're crazy. You had this great career in pranking. But it wasn't fulfilling for me anymore, you know? It didn't make me feel good anymore. And for you guys, you can look at your life and say, you know, do I feel good? Does this make me feel good? Your actions, does this make me feel good on the inside? Use your emotions as a guide. And for me, you know, I knew I wanted much more. So I made the announcement, and I said, like I said, I'm going into multiple industries that I have no idea how to get to it. I had no idea how to get this done. I have no idea what I'm doing. But like I said, I was confident in my ability to learn what I needed to learn and implement it, and implement what I need to learn to obtain my vision. And, you know, here I am, you know, I tell people I'm going to become this, I'm going to be that. And, you know, same old cycle. People made fun of me. People said, you know, how are you going to lift weights? You have no legs and one arm. I said, come on, keep telling me. Keep telling me I can't do it. And so I got into the gym and I started posting fitness videos for a whole year. I didn't get any traction. You know, people, they weren't really impressive. I didn't know how to lift. And I needed to figure out how to lift. I needed to figure out what I needed to do to get my body to the point where people start looking at it, right? So I go into the gym and literally trial and error. I would go into the gym and figure out what ways I needed to go into the gym, what ways I needed to hit muscles so I can move symmetrically, hit my muscles symmetrically, everything. Basically going into the gym and falling on my face thousands of times and getting back up and just figuring out, okay, this doesn't work. Let's take a different approach. Let's take a different outlook. You know, guys, life, like there's going to be things that come up to you, obstacles, and we could just picture a mountain. We could picture a mountain, and most people, you know, some people go over the mountain. But you can go around the mountain. You can go under the mountain. There's multiple ways, so it's just finding out which way works for you. So I was going in, and I was figuring out what works for me. My knowledge of nutrition got better, and my physique started to get better, and people started to catch on. And that's when I landed my first supplement sponsor, which was Cage Muscle. And it was, at the time, it was the #1 rated supplement sponsor on bodybuilding.com. And for me, you know, it was more reassurance. It was confidence. You know, Nick's confidence meter was, whoop, it went up a little bit. I started feeling good about myself even more after wrestling. And Reebok contacted me and said, we want you to work on the Be More Human campaign. And, you know, I looked into it, and the Be More Human campaign was the same campaign that Conor McGregor was on and J.J. Watt, one of the two biggest names in athletics. And here I am, you know, after people told me that I couldn't do things, that, you know, your goals are too big. And I'm not up here to say, hey, look at me, look at all that I've done. I'm here to show you what you guys are truly capable of in full bodies, truly capable of when you set your mind to something, when you focus in and you don't let the noise of the outside people, the haters, all the people that are going to come into your life and tell you can't do things, when you're fully focused on what you want, that you can achieve it. And that no matter what hand life has dealt you with, you have one life. And you must play it to the best of your ability. And that's what I did here. And like I said, I put up here, confidence is a skill you don't just wake up with. I thought, like I said, I was a kid that was depressed. I didn't have any confidence. Nothing drove me, but I worked on it. It was a skill, and you don't just have it. So for those of you that may be sitting in this room right now, struggling with confidence issues, struggling with being comfortable in your body, or maybe you're self-conscious, whatever it may be, you work on it. You don't just wake up with it, I promise. So I got to do all this fitness stuff, and I wanted to put myself in a more uncomfortable situation because the most growth comes from uncomfortable situations. So I made an announcement, and I said, I'm going to step on the competitive bodybuilding stage before 2017 is over. So I'm going to step on stage with full-bodied people for everyone to judge me and my physique on what my physique looks like. And it was not only for me, but like I said, to show people that if you just put yourself in uncomfortable situations, that you're going to grow from it. There's going to be so much benefit. And I put a timeline on it, so I really hold myself accountable. So I did a 12-week prep. I moved to Tampa about 7 weeks ago, and as soon as I moved here, I went on a 12-week prep. And as you can see up here, this is one of my transformations. This was when I first started lifting, and that was probably the day before my show. And I was 2 weeks out. I was 2 weeks out from my show, and I went out to Vegas for Mr. Olympia. It's one of the biggest bodybuilding competitions, and I got to meet this guy up here. You might know him. He's not too known, but that's The Rock. And I got to meet him, and he already knew who I was, which was crazy. He already knew who I was through fitness, and I was like, oh my God, like my reach is really out there. I'm really impacting people. I'm really out there, and we talked, and I told him, I'm going to do what you do. And what does he mean? He's like, what do you mean? I said, people knew The Rock for football at first, and then he was going into WWE, and then The Rock just spiraled into everything, and now he's everywhere, right? He's in acting, you name it, he's in everything. I said, I'm going to do what you do. And he said, Nick, you're right, because people like me and you, they throw you in any industry, and you adapt and overcome. And I told him about all the things that I wanted to do. And I told him about my bodybuilding competition. And that I was 2 weeks out. And that's the only reason why I looked that good, because I was 2 weeks out from a show. And it was time for my show. And I was 20 minutes, it was like 20 minutes before I stepped on stage. And my friend gave me the phone and said, look. And The Rock posted me on his Instagram. And he posted me on his Instagram, and it was a very heartfelt caption. At the end, he said, thank you, Nick, for sculpting my perspective a little bit more on life. And here I am, like, oh my God, like I'm fangirling. Like, I'm fangirling. Like, I just changed The Rock's perspective. Like, I can do this. Like, I can really change the world here. Like, if I can impact, from the top of the top tier of, celebrity actor, like, I can really change the world. And it was just more reassurance for me. And I stepped out on stage, and I competed against full-bodied people. And I took third in men's physique novice. So I beat full-bodied people, and that was pretty cool for me, because I was like, I don't know, it's pretty cool for me. I don't know. And when I put you guys through that exercise of a moment that you feel grateful for, that was one of the moments for me. Stepping out on stage and 12 weeks of kicking my butt just to step on stage for 2 minutes. That was one of the moments that was grateful for me. Oh, sorry. So, I put down before the way you have what things, when people hate on you or when people say things, it's the meaning you put behind it. It's how you let it make you feel, right? So I said you can either let things affect you or let them drive you. So I want to go through a story real quick. I got the opportunity about a month ago to go out to one of the UFC fights. And I got to work the purple carpet. I got to interview the fighters. I got to interview the celebrities. And I was at this point in my life where I was like feeling like the man. I was absolutely feeling like I could crush everything and anything in life, and just feeling so great about myself, so comfortable in my skin, everything. And it was time for me to go home. And I was flying from New York to Tampa. And I was getting on the plane. And, planes, you either have assigned seating, you either have your seat, or it's first come, first serve. And this plane was first come, first serve. And, I'm in a wheelchair. I get the perks. I get to skip the line. Pretty cool. And, so I got the best seat on the plane. It was only me. I was flying alone. I was traveling alone. So I sat in the window seat next to the window. It was a three-seater. So there's two seats. And literally, I'm sitting in the best seat of the plane. And this is from me coming off, like I said, feeling like the man. And, it's time for everyone else to board. And I'm sitting there, and, people are coming on the plane, and they're looking at me and looking away, or they're just like, talking to their friends or saying something. And, I see it. I've dealt with it my whole life. I go into public places, and it's just like something that I can just see. I can see when people are looking. It's just natural for me. And I'm sitting there, and, I remember them saying that it was a full flight, that there was going to be, there was going to be no free seats. And I'm sitting there, and the plane's starting to fill in. The plane's starting to fill in, and no one wants to sit next to me. People are looking at me, and they're just walking by. They're taking the other seats. And literally, I promise you guys, I'm in the best seat of the plane. And, people are walking by, and they're not sitting next to me. They're looking away, or just these little movements that I know. And I'm starting to cry. I'm on the plane, and, I'm looking out the window. I'm starting to tear up, and it brought me back. It brought me back to when I initially went into middle school. When, I went into middle school, and it was a big slap in the face for me when I realized how different I was. And people started to look at me, and people started to make fun of me. And I got into like a flashback, basically. And I'm sitting there, and I'm trying not to cry. And finally, the plane filled up, and two people sat there. And I'm trying to not let them realize that, I'm upset. I'm kind of like just looking out the window. And I'm sitting there, and, I'm like, Nick, what would you tell the kids that you speak to? I go to churches, I speak to kids, I go to middle schools, I speak to all these people, I speak to, kids all the way up to adults. I said, I asked myself, I'm sitting here trying not to let people know I'm crying, and I'm saying, Nick, what would you tell the kids? What would you tell the adults if they were in this situation? You always tell people it's what kind of meaning you put behind these events, right? It's how I let it affect me. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, what would I tell these people? I said, I got it. I said, Nick, you can do one of two things. You can either let what just happened affect you, and you can continue to cry on this plane all the way home. You can let it affect you for the whole entire day, for the whole entire week. Or you can be so pumped up that you have the most leg room in the plane. So I laughed, and I was like, you're right. Look at all this leg room. I'm winning. I have the best seat. I have the most room. I'm the most comfortable in this plane. I don't care if you want to sit next to me. I'm living life. So like I said, there's going to be times in your life where, things are going to hit you. Things are going to hit you. And people may say things, or something may happen, and you may get in a slump. And as humans, when one thing bad happens, we tend to stack. We tend to stack the things, and we get into this rut of just stacking all the negatives, and we just stack and stack and stack. And then we get into the slump for a day or a month or a week, whatever it may be. But like I said, it's what kind of effect you, what kind of meaning you put behind it. Like I said, people are going to hate on you. People hated on me. I could have let it affect me, or could have let it drive me. The doctor's handing over that list. My parents could have said, you're right. My son will never be able to walk, or my son will never be able to dress himself or feed himself. You're right. No. The only person that dictates your future is you, your mind. This is an amazing piece of mechanics right here. This is all you need. So I advise you guys, when you go out and things happen, when people say this or that, or people hate on you and say, your goals are too big, or what's your plan B? Or is that really what you want to do? You can either let people affect you, or you let it drive you. So I want you guys to leave here knowing that you can accomplish anything and everything that life sets out to you, that the only limitations you have are the ones you put on yourself. So I want you guys to help me. I want everyone to stand up right now. I'm already standing, so you guys stand up. And I want to end off with a lot of energy. Now I really want to apologize for the people in the back because you definitely can't see me. I should have had a ladder for this part. And I want you guys to leave here with so much energy, knowing when you walk outside that, things are going to happen, things are going to come into your life, but it's all about how you react to it. And it's all about how you let it affect you. And that anything in life that we can handle it, we can get through it. It's just how. How are you going to do it your way? And I'm up here just showing you how I did it my way. So I'm gonna do a chant. We're gonna say this 3 times. And I want you guys to bring the most energy you have. I want you guys to say it so loud that it makes you feel good. So I'm gonna say we are, and you guys are gonna say limitless, because that is what we are. Can you guys help me? You ready? 3 times. You ready? We are!
Limitless!
We are!
Limitless!
We are!
Limitless!
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.